Welcome, Yuji.
Thank you, sir.
I started with saying that gurus is not your thing, eh?
Yes, unfortunately, gurus have become such monsters on this planet today. And you guys who have had everything, still have everything you can reasonably ask for, created a market for those people. And they are exploiting all the people here in the Western countries, particularly in America, telling them that they have answers for all their problems which they are facing today. You see, it is very natural for somebody to ask a question when you have everything that you can reasonably ask for, and you have everything that you can reasonably ask for. The question arises, is that all? The moment that question springs up inside of you and you throw it at others, you have created a market for them all. You see, I always maintain and insist on repeating time and again that what has not helped those countries like India and other Asiatic countries is not going to help anybody in the world.
You're implying, you say, India has known gurus for thousands of years?
For thousands of years. If India is what it is today, it is not something that the Indians can be proud of. This is what I tell them also. Recently I was on their television. India has no future in the sense that you are not in a position to control the events of this world or to shape in any way, directly or indirectly, the shaping of events in the world today. We are living in a very, very difficult times today. The future nobody can predict. Nobody can say with certainty where we are all going to end up. So, although they have 1 billion people in that country, they are in a position to assert and see that they play a very major role in the affairs of the world. So the only thing that they are exploiting around the globe is the demand for some spiritual shit, I would call it, that they are selling in the marketplace, assuring the people that they have the solutions for their day-to-day problems.
But Yuji, I was in India recently at the Kumbh Mela, and I saw there's two things that the Indian people have, and one of them is they make software. And wherever you go in the big cities, they export software, and they export this spiritual Hinduism, Buddhism thing.
The software is acceptable to me because America is in a condition or situation or in a position where they have to depend upon, you see, the Indians. 80% of the people working there in the United States on software are from India. So why America has not been able to produce the guys to handle their problems? You see, sometimes even I go one step further and tell them, you see, you are in a position to be a hacker and break into all the secrets that they have in their defense department and see that America understands its present position in the world and not play the game of destroying the whole world.
Do you feel that that's what's happening? That's
what is going to happen, you see. When you are in a position to destroy the maximum power with minimum means, you will all sing a different song. I have been everywhere in the world. I have spent more than 60 years in Switzerland. I have been coming to this country for almost half a century. I came here first time at the very beginning of 50s. I was involved with the Theosophical Society. I was an international lecturer. I was invited to give lectures here, and I gave a lecture there in Huizen, the then headquarters of all the European federations. So I have known the West. I have spent most of my life in America, in Switzerland, and in India. And I have been everywhere in the world. You see, the human nature is exactly the same. I went even to Russia and said some very nice things which they didn't like. And they thought that I was a CIA agent there. And in America, they thought that I was a KGB agent because I blasted America, you see. And I blasted Russia. And I don't know what the Indians think about me or of me. They don't like me anyway, because what I say is not acceptable to the Indians. I have always maintained that the great heritage of India, which they are so proud of, the heritage that they are trying to sell, the shoddy piece of goods abroad, was born out of acid heads.
It was born out of acid heads?
Acid heads. All those sages lived in the
well,
jungles.
now it's getting interesting. You mean that the Vedas,
All of them.
and the Vedas was only written down,
Afterwards.
came out of people that out in the woods were taking digitales and
Soma Jews, and experienced some strange experiences and translated them into spiritual experiences and passed on that from generation to generation. We in our turn used those techniques through the help of thought, created those experiences and believed that we are in the same state that those people were talking about.
Wait a moment. So you're basically saying that the psychedelic experience is the basis of the religion?
Is the religion. It started that way in India.
Okay. Well, then I have to ask you, have you taken psychedelics?
I have never taken. Anybody who has not smoked will never condemn others smoking. Anybody who has not even tasted or smelled, say, alcohol will never ask people not to drink. Anybody who has not taken drugs will not condemn drugs. You see? But at the same time, I do not encourage that. I maintain, even today, I insist that drugs should be legalized. Then, you see, you will be surprised. You see, it will fall in its proper place.
Would you say that drugs in India have fallen into their proper place in the past, not now?
In the past, you see.
Because when I see there is people smoking ganga, there is people taking all kinds of leaves and...
Yes. Nothing is, that is no different from any spiritual experience.
But so what do you think that happens in the mind when people take this psychedelic...
They experience extraordinary, quote-unquote, similar to spiritual experiences of bliss, beatitude, immensity and love.
And the feeling of unity.
The feeling of unity. And you experience the same things when you take drugs. I have known the fellow who has written my biography, Mr. Mahesh Bhatt. He was one of the top movie directors. And he has written my biography. And he was not exposed to the religious background at all. First time when he took drugs, he experienced all the spiritual experiences, all the sages, saints and saviors of mankind in the past and present and yet to be born. They are going to experience the same thing. He talked about it in such an extraordinary way. So there is nothing marvelous about it. The moment you legalize that, it will fall in its proper place. The governments are involved in making money. The other day they said $92 billion.
Made by
and why you put all these young people into prison and destroy them? You see, meditation is one of the worst techniques that people are preaching.
Okay, this is not a strong statement. You say meditation, which is preached by the Buddhists and the Hindus, and you say it doesn't serve
Nobody has done seriously meditation. This is what I point out to the people. If you have meditated very seriously for longer periods than they claim that they have done, they will either end up in the loony bins, singing loony tunes and merry melodies, or commit suicide, jump into the river. Many of those sages in India who practiced yoga, who practiced meditation techniques, they all committed suicide, and they called that jalasamadhi. See, those people, if they jump into the river and commit suicide...
Yeah, it's like they want to be one with God, and that's it.
That's all. That is the way they interpret that and make them feel good, the followers of those countries.
But that, for instance, is a subject, you know, this
suicide
to join the Godhead, which happens in the Christian churches too, and it's never talked about.
But do you want me to say some nasty statements about your Jesus?
Absolutely.
He was smoking hash, not hash, but eating mushrooms for 40 days and 40 nights, sitting there in the desert.
Yeah, but that was clear, and then he experienced the devil like anybody would do who takes...
No, but one thing you don't realize, if it remained in that small, limited scale and limited sphere of human activities, it would have been finished a long time ago. Through the help of using that as an instrument of power, the states are responsible for that. Buddhism would have remained a very small cult. You see, if it were not for the fact that Ashoka, one of the great emperors of India,
the guy who
used it as an instrument of power. Both Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism have become the instruments of power. This is what I tell very often to the people.
So they have become the banner for worldly powers, but claiming they were a spiritual movement.
Exactly. At that time, the religious thing was the only instrument we had. Now you have political ideologies. Why you killed so many hundreds and thousands of people?
And cows.
Preaching Love thy neighbor as thyself. How many men, women and children have been killed? And all the political ideologies you enforce on the world only through the instrument of power and violence.